when I have thoughts like, I've probably been staring at the computer too long. I probably should go for a swim, but I don't feel like it. That, what is that? That was Monday. Now it's Wednesday. I did go for a swim on Monday, but as you could see, there was a little bit of deliberation involved. I think it's really strange that moods can kind of enter our head, make us act in different ways that are against our goals in life or our values or who we think we are as a person. And then they disappear again. And almost like when you drink too much and you say the next morning you're not going to drink again, we tend to kind of forget and just muddle on with our lives without actually kind of investigating what was that thing? Why was I thinking so differently? This idea though of switching to a kind of almost different person when we're in a really bad mood, we don't really feel like ourselves and we don't really think the way we usually do, and we do things a little bit differently. And in extreme cases, we can look to like tribal culture when like a medium is often, as part of some sort of ritual, is a man is possessed by some sort of, allegedly possessed by some sort of spirit. He'll speak with a lowered or different type of tone of voice. He'll prance around, he'll make different contortions with his body. And when the possession is finished, he'll come to his senses, he'll be back to his normal person, and he often won't remember what happened, and he'll carry on with his day. So that's very extreme, and I'm not saying that we get possessed when we go into a bad mood, but it's not a bad analogy for a sudden change in character, acting like something you're really not, and then afterwards kind of forgetting that it all happened and just kind of continuing on with your day. There's a sort of therapeutic model called internal family systems, which basically says we're all filled with different sub-personalities, angry parts, sad parts. When the part is in control, we have to speak from it. And not only that, we speak as though we are it. So this is kind of like, a lot of people will say this is like identifying with a thought. To identify with someone is you think you are that thing. Jung talks about the anima, which is kind of the feminine part of the man, and it's his kind of internal other, because it's represented by the opposite sex. And this is a feminine image which guides and shapes the way that you relate to women and actually the whole world. He'll talk about an anima possession, which can make men act very sulkily and passive and overreactive. So it's kind of a confusing name and confusing concept, but again, the function and the way that it kind of shows up in your everyday behavior is something similar, where you kind of perhaps find yourself saying very snarky comments out of nowhere, and it's almost like if it was someone else saying those comments. We're involuntarily possessed, we're taken over, we're deluded, we're submerged, flooded, immersed, engrossed. These are all different words that they use. But the general kind of principle is that in the moment, in the throes of the strong reaction or strong emotion or a particular kind of complex or way of thinking, we think we are that thing for a brief time. It could be a minute, it could be an hour. That really is the crux of it. If in the moment of a really bad mood, you think like someone else and you believe those thoughts that you're having in that moment, and for example, if you're really looking at the world in a very negative, harsh, defeatist way, and you believe that that is truly how you feel in that moment, that's how you feel. That's kind of how illusions work. When you look out in the ocean and you see a boat, it is a boat until you look a little bit closer and birds scatter, and it was actually just a flock of birds.